What's up, everybody? I'm Matt Leinart, 2004 Heisman Trophy winner, and you're watching the Harris Highlight Show.
Na 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 na.
From the Bill Austin Radio Studio at the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism in beautiful downtown Phoenix, this is Season 4, Episode 15 of the Harris Highlight Show. Joining me this week is our very ill and sick college football analyst, Josh Schaefer.
I drink tea now, I guess. I don't know.
Our college football expert, Lyle Goldstein. Our executive producer, Brady Klain.
I drink water.
I am your host for the evening, Blake Harris. I drink Diet Coke.
Diet soda's worse for you than real soda.
You and the Mormons, Blake.
Me and the Mormons. No, they drink the caffeine-free Diet Coke.
And milk.
And milk. And milk. And they don't watch rated R movies. Man.
Oh, that's insightful.
That sounds tough. We are live in studio, guys, for our very last, not only our last Tuesday show of the year, our last Tuesday show ever. Yes, because next week we cannot record on Tuesday because, well, as we did last week when our show had to be moved, Lyle won't be here.
Way to go, Lyle.
So we are going to be filming our Bowl Edition show with our full college football playoff reaction episode on Sunday. Just me, Brady, and Josh.
Lyle still won't be here.
That has nothing to do with me being here. I wouldn't be here next Tuesday either.
So our point exactly.
No, your point was we had to move it up to last Sunday because I wouldn't have been here Tuesday, where I'm not going to be here in general next week or for another month.
But we're still moving up the show because since he's not going to be here, we might as well do it as early as we can. But that's okay, Lyle. That's okay. We'll just do the show without you.
Way to go, Lyle.
As they say in show business, the show must go on.
And it will. And it will. Now, speaking of moving on, guys, let's... Oh, but as to regards to the final show, because it looks like next semester, due to meet the demands of some of the other divas on this show, we have to push the show till Monday.
Why are you looking at me? What did I do?
I looked at you because you were just staring at me, and you were giving me this death stare.
This is just my face.
It was a death stare.
Hey, do not make my voice get high right now because I am drinking the tea and my voice octaves right now sound fine. So we don't want to push it too far, boys.
So next semester we are going to be doing our shows Monday night.
Way to go, Lyle.
The time has still to be determined. That's also Lyle's fault as well.
Way to go, Lyle.
So the time is still to be determined, but Monday night. So our final Tuesday show ever. Wow.
I hate Lyle.
Unless we all fail the Bureau and we come back here for one final year or so.
Sounds reasonable.
We'll have to wait and see, but it's time now to discuss our fantasy football matchups. This past week was our championship, and getting the victory 196 to 170 is Josh Schaefer.
That's what I'm talking about, boys.
Josh had a great week. He got points from Jalen Hurts and Joe Burrow, 25 across the board. I had 45 from J.K. Dobbins, but it wasn't enough because, well, Brock Purdy got me 10, and I guess, John Plumlee of Ole Miss decided to get injured and leave the game, which hurt me in both my leagues. So, John Plumlee, you really let me down. DeAndre Swift got me 1 point. 1 point. Najee Harris got Josh 24. So a valiant effort from Josh. He's currently streaking through the Blaze studio right now, and he's back. Josh, put your shirt back on. This is a family show. All right, the shirt is back on. Josh, with this victory, you officially won the chance to host an episode of the show in the spring. Not now, but in the spring.
It's a shame we've already submitted something for IBS Awards because that'd be the show we'd win.
It would be. So, Josh, congratulations on winning. I look forward to you hosting a show in the spring. And I feel like a lot of viewers are looking forward to you hosting a show in the spring as well. And, oh, thank you. Is there anything you'd like to say as your celebratory speech?
I would just like to say thank you to my family. My friends have always believed in me, except for you three. You guys are the worst. You know, it's been fun. It's been fun. Shout out to the interns. They've really been in my corner all the way. So, you know, and thanks to Mike Pittman. Love that guy. The two best quarterbacks in fantasy football, Jalen and Joe Burrow. Go Tigers. You know, to have the #1 and #2 fantasy quarterbacks in this league that really favored fantasy quarterbacks, that was huge. I appreciate them and I appreciate their hard work. And I hope they both make the playoff. Go OU. I don't know. Back the pack. I don't know. It's fine. I'm glad I won. I'm the best. Thanks.
Well, you're the best, but with him being the best, that means someone has to be the worst.
If you ain't first, you're last.
If you ain't first, you're last. So, guys, we had a battle for last place between Lyle and Brady, and coming out with the 238 to 163 point victory was no Big L's.
Oh my goodness!
Meaning losing the Fantasy Football Challenge was our executive producer, Brady Klein, which, for those of you that haven't, tuned in any recent weeks, has to do a punishment for coming in last place. So, Brady, I'm going to throw it over to you. Your mic is hot. Whenever
it's hot,
you're ready.
Hot.
As he's getting set up in there right now.
I don't think I am ready. I don't know if you guys are ready.
I don't think we are either.
Hang on one
second.
second.
I've been waiting for this.
I'm
Where
ready.
is this? Hang on.
You've only had
Here we go.
all show to set this up.
No, this. I couldn't. It got rearranged because I accidentally changed it.
Huh?
There we go. So, gentlemen, let me adjust this so we get a pretty shot. There we go. All right.
Is the music ready?
Not yet. Yes, it is.
Oh.
Gross.
Blake, that's what you sound like every show. All right.
Except it sounds more like the...
Yeah, that's what I sound like.
The suspense is terrible. I hope it lasts. If you know the line, comment.
Yeah, we do
All right.
have until 8:30, Brady.
Okay, I'm going to milk it then. All right. Are you guys ready? Well, if you guys would look over here, I have here in my hand the Ode to the College Fantasy Season.
That's incredible.
And when it is done, I have copies for all of you.
Yes.
That's fantastic.
Incredible. Really going all out.
All out. This is a poem. This is the Ode to our college fantasy season. Well, gentlemen, it appears that I have finished in last. Even though Jonathan Taylor ran oh so very fast. His feet were like lightning, they moved oh so quickly. Unlike Hugh Freeze, who coached from a hospital bed, looking quite sickly. The hurts were brought, and there was a big L. And I had a tight end with a last name no one knows how to spell. Week after week, my guys played out of whack. And like Texas and Sam Ellinger, my team is not back. My quarterback was out with a messed up hip. And I hate to break it to you, Blake, Oregon is not going to the ship.
Ouch.
We all wish that we were able to have some Heisman picks, so I would be able to mess up again and pick my guy, Bo Nix. I get it, you all like to hate, but at least you all weren't dumb enough to pick Wilton Spate. It was a close-fought finish, and Lyle escaped, but lucky for me, I used the promo code BH20 when I shopped at Manscaped. Now I'm ecstatic my Hoosiers are going bowling, while Purdue just sits on the sideline, crying, consoling. Throughout the year, I relied on guys like Josh Kelly, and look what that got me. It gave Josh the last Selly. Hey, congrats.
Thank you.
My team was a mess. It was surely a wreck. I was unable to come back, unlike Bryce Perkins' neck. While no one can find a way to beat Joe Burrow, Anthony Gordon had about as many passing yards as stories covered by Edward R. Murrow. I've had a blast over the last 4 years being a part of this great show, because it means I get to constantly play this soundbite of Coach O.
Hey guys, thank you. We love you, man. Go Tigers.
In the end, it didn't work out and it's time for my team to go. But I'm not going to cry about it, because I lost as much money as Josh, Lyle, and I make combined off of this show. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you. Thank you. Thank
Well
you.
done.
Thank you.
That was very
Thank you.
good.
That was fantastic.
Snaps.
Now, when Brady said he had a poem he was writing, I didn't know he was actually going to write a poem. I just thought that was a fancy way of saying his little essay that he had to do. But he actually wrote a poem
Incredible.
that made me consider tearing up.
Put that on Twitter.
Oh, it will be. Hopefully it makes the 220 mark. Well done, Brady. Well done.
You know, I do
As
have to
he
say, I
exits
think
the studio.
I
Here he
think
comes.
that is probably a top 10 moment on this show.
That it is. Oh, he's giving us hard copies.
Oh, incredible!
Yes, thank you.
Look
I
at
don't-
that! Wow!
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
I don't think
Well
Brady's.
done.
I don't think Brady's ever been seen in here before.
This is
thank
incredible.
you.
The lighting in here is so much better. Oh,
It is
wow.
pretty nice
This
in
is
here.
incredible. I mean, it's
Look at
actually
this.
You like that?
yeah, for real. Like look at it. It looks like it's very.
happens.
I'm just gonna use Lyle's camera. Look at that.
Wow.
Focus. Focus. Oh, look at that focus.
Need this
on that
framed.
camera.
Yeah. You can frame it next to the red carpet award we won last year.
Oh yes, the red carpet award. Yeah.
Thank you, gentlemen.
I'll believe it when
You know,
I see
I don't
it.
know if Brady realized this. I almost hope you didn't. But did you know that the Edward R. Murrow School of Journalism
Washington
is
State. That's why I did
Washington
that.
Yeah, we
State?
talked about
Very
that.
impressive.
Yeah.
Very impressive.
So I'm gonna be honest. He sent me like his like rough draft last night, and I was like, yeah, it's pretty good.
Oh, boo.
And then I text him this morning or this afternoon, and I go, I just got that Anthony Gordon line because I realized that he used Anthony Gordon in Wazoo and Edward R. Murrow, which is the name of the journalism school there. I was like, you know what? That's pretty well done, BK.
Edward R. Murrow also went to Washington State.
He did.
He did.
Yes, he did.
Well done, Brady. Well
so that
done.
was the ode to our college fantasy season, gentlemen.
was really
fantastic.
good.
Thank you.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
That was great.
I did it while
So
watching Monday Night Football last
a
night.
valiant effort, guys. It was a great season. It was a
Dilly-dilly.
great season. We all did well.
Dilly-dilly, yes,
And
of course.
for those of you that want to know, I lost in the championship to Big J for the second year in a row in our Arizona State League.
Whoa! Don't you dare call me. Oh, that other one. Yeah, Big J.
Yes.
Other league, big dog.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Should have made the playoffs.
So great job, Brady. We'll post this. We'll post a photo of it on Twitter. And you took it like a champ.
Thank you.
You took the L like a champ. Now, guys, before we start talking some college football, a few weeks ago I mentioned this, but now it's officially time to go over our Manscaped giveaway. Now, guys, we are partnering with Manscaped.com. Don't worry, I'm not going to say the taglines, at least not
you
yet.
should really consider rephrasing the word "we." Hence, read the last line of this poem, please.
All right, everyone.
how about this? Let's just reread the
Manscaped
line.
giveaway. We are going to be giving away.
It was a close-fought finish, and Lyle escaped. But luckily for me, I used the promo code BH20 when
At
I shopped
Manscaped.
at Manscaped.
All right, so guys, we are doing a Christmas giveaway. You could win the Perfect Package 2.0 kit plus a swag bag.
For your
You
perfect
could win
package.
yourself a nice swag bag. Now, I know you guys are probably asking yourself, how can I win this amazing package? Well, here's how. Go to our Twitter at the HHShow_. Make sure you give us a follow. Following that, make sure you go over to Manscaped's Twitter at Manscaped. Give them a follow. There you go. Now, in order to get these entries, rule number one, I'm about to tweet something right now on the Harris Highlight Show Twitter account, which has officially been tweeted out. Go over, like the tweet. That'll give you one entry. Retweet the tweet. That'll give you 2 entries. And if you want to get 5 entries into the contest, reply to the tweet as to why you'd like to win the perfect package. Again, this is going to be a holiday giveaway, so it might be you might want it for your father, you might want it for your grandfather, your brother. You might want to give it to your friend as a gag gift, maybe a fantasy football
That's an
gift of
expensive
some
gag
sort.
gift.
And it's expensive. This package goes for like $80, $90, $100. It's an expensive package for your perfect package. So if you want to win, head over to our Twitter, follow us at the HH Show _, do all the things. It's going to be the pinned tweet, so you're going to see it right away when you go to the profile. It is officially pinned right now. I look forward to seeing your guys' replies. And we are going to be announcing the winner on our show this upcoming Sunday. We already have a retweet from our intern. How fantastic. Unfortunately, the interns cannot win the Perfect Package 2.0.
Nope.
Unfortunately.
Nope,
But
sorry.
hey, you can still win the Perfect Package 2.0. Heading over to our Twitter, and like I said, we are going to announce the winner live on our show this upcoming Sunday. So you have until Sunday. I believe it's December 8th, I want to say, is when Sunday is.
Sunday is the 8th.
Sunday, December 8th. So you have until then to go over, enter, do whatever you need to do, and yeah, have fun with it. Remember, it's the perfect package for your perfect package. Yeah.
And what do you? How can you send it back?
Well, if you nip your sack, you can send it right back.
Gross. I got that on Snapchat.
All right, guys, let's get things underway. Let's talk about some college football. Finally, 15 minutes into our college football show, the latest college football playoff rankings came out, and I guess the official last college football playoff rankings, because the final unveiling is going to be this upcoming Sunday. So yet again, the rankings didn't change. Ohio State, LSU, Clemson, Georgia are the top 4. Utah comes in at 5, Oklahoma at 6, Baylor at 7, Wisconsin 8, Florida 9, and Penn State caps things off at number 10. Alabama at number 12. That's the worst they've ever been in the playoff rankings. It seems weird seeing Alabama ranked there at number 12. So no surprise in the top 4 guys, and I think for the most part we expected this top 10 to look something like this. Oklahoma, Utah, maybe they could have been flipped. Baylor, Wisconsin, that might have been flipped. But for the most part, this is exactly what we expect to see. Now, there's a lot that's going to happen this upcoming week. We're going to go over some scenarios. But just, again, 1 through 10, do you think this is fine going into the final week of the season?
Yeah. Lyle and I were watching the ranking show earlier. Excuse me. Sip of tea. Much better. Wow. Listen to the octave. Listen to the baritone. Yeah, we were watching the reveal show earlier, and we were kind of talking about, are they really going to set this up so Utah doesn't get in? And I think it's going to come down to obviously what they do this weekend, but how convincing it is against Oregon. But other than that, I think that the top 10's fine, but this is going to be a very interesting weekend. And seriously, Georgia winning, man, it's going to be absolute chaos. It's going to be absolute chaos if Georgia wins this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, the top 6 is right for now. Nothing was going to change in the top 4. I think the most suspense that was coming into this week was who was going to be 5, who was going to be 6. They slide Utah up to 5. Oklahoma follows suit. We can get into it like later on the show, but I don't know. I have my own worries about Utah, but I'll save that for later.
Yeah, it really does seem like we'll see 2 SEC schools in before we see 1 Pac-12 school. It does.
Well, in order for that to happen, Georgia would have to win. Now, how fitting is this that right next to each other at 13 and 14 is Oregon and Michigan? How fitting to end the year.
Put Bama there, too.
They should have been, hey, guys, if I would have told you at the beginning of the year, listen, the final playoff rankings going into the conference championship week, Oregon's going to be behind Bama, and Michigan's going to be behind Oregon. You guys would have been like, oh, fantastic. They're going to be in the top 4. I kind of called it. Kind of.
Kind of, sort of, not really.
Overall, yeah, it's fine right there. I mean, for the most part, these rankings don't really mean as much going into this weekend because so much can happen this upcoming weekend. But as I mentioned, Alabama dropping 7 spots.
Incredible.
That did seem kind of harsh. I mean, they lost by, 3 on the road at Auburn. To drop them 7, that seems like a bold move. But overall, yeah, no problems with these rankings at all. Just noteworthy real quickly. Memphis comes in as the highest ranked group of 5 team. They're playing Cincinnati this week, so it's going to look like Memphis is probably going to be the team that makes it to a New Year's 6. I think Brady texted our group chat saying last night that it might be Alabama versus Memphis in a New Year's 6 bowl. Man, that would be...
I don't remember who had that.
That'd
I think
be
it was
something.
I don't remember who had it slated for that bowl game to be that, but that'd be... I sound like Josh. That game would be wild.
Yeah, wild in one team's favor. So those are the rankings. Nothing really to get to in regards to the rest. Baylor coming in at 7. Wow, that's... Who would have thought there? We're going to go into our final scenarios, guys, because there's still a bunch of scenarios that can happen. There's a bunch of different outcomes that can happen. So first things first, and obviously this one holds the most in regards to the potential outcomes, and that's with the Georgia-LSU game, because if Georgia wins... They're going to be in. If Georgia wins, this top 4 is going to stay the exact same. Maybe things will switch a bit where Georgia might move to 2 and LSU might move to 3 and Clemson might move to 4. There's a lot that has to happen there, but the 4, I think everyone can agree, is going to stay the exact same. So guys, let's just say that Georgia loses. Utah and Oklahoma both win their title games. Who has the edge, Utah or Oklahoma?
Look, it's a toss-up. For me, it really is. And I would like to see Utah get in. Seen a lot more of Utah than Oklahoma, obviously. I think Oklahoma's a better team, but I think Utah's defense is legit, and I think that Utah would put... I think both because of their offense and defense, I think regardless of who Oklahoma plays if they get in, let's just say that I'm going to compare them to the top 4 teams currently. I think that Oklahoma would compete with all 4 because of their offense and their defense. For Utah, I don't think the offense hangs, but I think the defense keeps them in the game regardless of who they play. But what I am concerned about is Utah has one quality win this year. 11-1 is a good record. That one loss is to USC, who is the one relevant team I think they've played this year. And again, I've said it before, I'll say it again. It's kind of a dumb statement to make. Arizona State's the best 5-loss team in college football by far. ASU shouldn't be a 5-loss team, but the fact that Utah's only quality win, in my opinion, is ASU, that's not good. And it says a lot about your schedule, because I think they obviously didn't play Oregon yet. If they beat Oregon this weekend, great. Then they should be in. But as it sits right now, Oklahoma, I think, has the clear advantage. So that's where it sits for me going in. It depends on what they do against Oregon, which is obvious. But say Utah and Oklahoma both win, for me, it's whoever looked most convincing.
Look, I personally would like to see Utah get in. And I honestly, I think there's a lot of things about Utah and the way that their schedules worked out this year that kind of like have similarities and comparisons with Clemson, in the sense of that, I'm not calling Utah Clemson. I think Clemson's the far better team. But Utah has, like, outside of USC, so outside of their one loss, blown out just about everybody on their schedule, much like Clemson has. They're top 5 in the country in offensive efficiency. They're top 5 in the country in defensive efficiency. Their one loss was on the road to a ranked team when Utah didn't have Zach Moss. I mean, everything that kind of like you look at it on paper, outside of the ranked wins, Utah's done everything to convince the committee and the country that they should be one of the 4 best teams. The problem is, I don't really have faith in the committee to say, let's put a Pac-12 team in over Jalen Hurts and an explosive offense in the Oklahoma Sooners, who, if they beat Baylor, would have 3 ranked wins. I think Utah deserves the chance to get in. I think that the way that they've played the teams on their schedule and outside of one loss, they've absolutely dominated. I think over the last, 7 games or so, they've won by, on average, about 30 points. But there just seems to always be a Pac-12 bias to some extent every year. And I know they say this is not one of the things that they take into account, but something just tells me in the back of these committees' heads, they think to themselves, you know what, I think Oklahoma would play Ohio State or LSU tougher than Utah would, because that would be an offensive shootout compared to Utah putting up maybe 10 points and Ohio State scoring 28 to 35. So I think Utah deserves to get in. I'm not convinced the committee's going to do it.
One of the things that the committee will look at, if it comes down to the 2 teams, is obviously non-conference and conference record. But the big thing is strength of schedule. Both of these teams have middle of the pack strength of schedule, so there really isn't a good deciding factor. Utah's strength of schedule is 63rd out of 120 or 130. Oklahoma's 45th. So they're both middle of the pack conference or opponent teams. So that's the thing where, right, all right, those are 2 middle of the pack teams. In that regard, you give the edge to Oklahoma. All right, then what do you look at after that? Points per game, or an opponent points per game. Oklahoma's averaging 44 points a game, whereas Utah is 35.5. Both of which are top 20. But then you look at the defensive side of things. Utah's defense is so much better. They're 3rd in the country, whereas Oklahoma's 52nd. So you combine all the things together and do the math. What do you look for most? All right, is it the strength of schedule? All right, then you pick Utah. I'm sorry, then you pick Oklahoma. Is it the best defense? Which team will have put up the best fight? Then that's Oklahoma. Then that's Utah. It's really a toss-up between which deciding factor the committee will go with, or if they'll combine them all together.
Which is why we have to do our investigative journalism on Thursday.
Bingo.
And try to get anything we can out of Paul as to what she's thinking leading into this. Now, the one advantage that Oklahoma does have is the fact that Baylor's ranked 7th compared to Oregon being ranked 13th for Utah, because if all of a sudden now Oklahoma comes out, they beat number 7 Baylor, and they have, Baylor's only 2 losses of the season are going to be to Oklahoma, whereas Utah, they come out and they beat number 13 Oregon. Leave it to ASU to just screw everything up with Oregon, where if Oregon probably would have been ranked 5th going into this game. If Utah gets the win over the number 5 Oregon team, then all of a sudden I think Utah has the edge, because I think if it came down to Oregon versus Oklahoma, I think the committee would give the edge to Oregon in that regard. So Oklahoma does have that advantage, and I said this on last week's show or 2 weeks ago, and I stand by this. Overall, Utah might be the better team defensively. I think, as Lyle said, they have one of the top 5 defenses in the country. but I don't think their offense can compete against Ohio State, LSU, Clemson. I don't think Utah is capable of scoring 40 points. I'm actually going to look up their schedule right now and look at their game by game to see the most points they've scored all season. They put up 52 against Oregon State. They put up 49 against UCLA, and I guess they put up 45 against Colorado. So they have had games where they've scored a lot of points. 35 against Arizona, 35 against Cal.
Their average is 35.5.
But again, look who they're doing this against. They're doing this against some of the worst defenses, at least in the conference for the Pac-12. How much are you really saying about that when you put them against a team like Ohio State, LSU, Clemson that actually have top 5, top 10 defenses? Can they score? And I personally don't think so. And I think you do have to take into account who do you think legitimately can put up a better shot? And I think it's Oklahoma for the scoring factor.
And that's exactly what I think the committee's thinking, because like I'm going to go back to last year, and I know this kind of applies to me, but look at what happened to Notre Dame last year. Notre Dame had a great defense. Their offense averaged just under 34 points a game. They go up against Clemson, they put up 3 points. I think that's what the committee's thinking is going to happen to Utah, is they're going to get in there against a top-tier team, and they're going to put up like 10 points or less. I personally don't think they would. I think they can compete. I think Utah should be the 4th team in. I don't think the committee thinks that.
What's tough is, what I don't understand is why Utah is pushing for Tyler Huntley to be in the Heisman conversation.
Well, yeah, that's dumb.
Dude is 39th in yards. In the Pac-12, he's 9th in touchdowns, 9th in yards. He's 9th in yards per game. He's fine. But this is not an offense that is putting up numbers off the charts. Like Lyle mentioned, and we kind of talked about already, but Blake really alluded to this. Sure, they're killing people in Pac-12 play ever since that USC game. ASU, it took them a while to get going offensively, but they figured it out. What was it 21-3 the final? The defense is where it's at for Utah. I don't think the offense has what it takes to compete with anybody.
My only thing is does Oklahoma? That's my question to everybody
The
else.
offense?
Here's what I'm going to say is Oklahoma's offense is fantastic. The difference is, I think that the committee's thinking, again, what's the better game, and what do people love? People love points. I think if Oklahoma goes up against LSU or Ohio State, it's like a 52-35 type of game. So that's still a 2-3 score loss. Where if it's Utah, it's like 28-10 or something like that. So, sorry, I think Utah's going to put up more than 10. I think it'd be like a 33-17 type of game. So I think that people like points, and they think, Oklahoma's offense can compete with anybody, so they put them in just because of that.
It's not how it should be, though.
I know it. It should
that.
not. That's absolutely not how it should be. I think that's what they're going to think, and that's what they're going to do.
You look at the Utah offense, and the one question I have with that is, are they too one-dimensional? Because 3 players have accounted for over 70% of their touchdowns. Whereas you look at an Oklahoma team, they spread the ball out. They're able to attack you on all aspects of the ball on offense. Will the one-dimensional offense for Utah hold them back when it gets to that point?
We'll have to wait and see.
Tyler Huntley can throw the football. I'm not saying he should be in the Heisman conversation, but he can throw the football.
He's a fine quarterback.
Yeah, I think he's a good quarterback, and the fact that he can use his legs too to run. He's a dual threat quarterback with a star running back on a Utah team that is putting up a ton of points offensively. Look, I think Oklahoma's a phenomenal offense. CeeDee Lamb is also currently banged up. And that's their top receiver. Sure, they can put up points, but are they really going to compete more than Utah is? Where Utah, I think, Utah's top 5 in offensive and defensive efficiency. I don't think either of these teams can beat LSU or Ohio State, but you put one or the other on the field. I think Utah's the more complete team because they can play defense. Oklahoma can't.
Now, here's one. Let's say Baylor just comes out, they beat Oklahoma, and they win the Big 12. They finish the season at 12-1, with their lone loss being to Oklahoma, in which they blew a 28-3 lead. So Baylor is literally a historic blow-up game away from finishing the season 13-0 in the Big 12, which, the Big 12 is probably maybe the 3rd or 4th best conference overall, but going undefeated in that conference would be no joke, and they would pick up that win over Oklahoma. So do you think if Baylor beats Oklahoma, let's say they come out, they beat them by 2 touchdowns, do you think that would be enough to put them in over Utah, or do you think it's essentially going to come down to the Oklahoma-Utah matchup and Baylor just has no chance to leapfrog?
I think what we saw in last week's ranking, sip of tea. I thought what we saw in last week's ranking was that clearly the committee does not think that blow-up game to Oklahoma was that big or was that bad. because they quickly moved right back up into the rankings 1 week after, 1 week later. After the loss, they get a win and they jump back up in the poll. So I think that the committee is going to kind of look the other way on that absolute collapse as Blake opens his water bottle. Oh, there it is. I think they're going to look past it because, look, if we're being honest right now, I don't know if they don't explode or implode, I guess, in that game. I think Baylor is, it's tough. I think they're 4th right now over Georgia if they win that game. So that's another thing, too. If Baylor wins this game, we should be talking about Baylor, too. Because if Baylor...
Oh, my mic's off. I was going to say, who would have thought we'd be talking about Baylor in the playoff talk the final week of the season?
But I think the committee looks the other way on that. So I think that if Oklahoma wins this game convincingly, I absolutely think it's enough. Of course, it depends on what Utah does with Oregon, but God, it would be such a Pac-12 thing for Oregon to win. It would be such a Pac-12 thing.
Let me ask you this, Blake. In this scenario, what is the score of the Utah-Oregon game?
Well, I mean, I would assume if Utah wants a chance, they're going to have to convincingly blow out Oregon.
Because here's the thing. If Baylor wins, that would give Baylor 2 ranked wins, and that would give Utah only the 1 ranked win. So because Baylor beat Oklahoma State by a lot, they won 45-27, and then they would beat Oklahoma. So that's 2 ranked wins versus Utah's 1. Again, I'm gonna
because ASU doesn't count as a ranked win anymore.
No,
right?
It does not. I'm going to continue to say that I think Utah is a really, really good team and they deserve to get in. But again, if Utah wins by 7 or 8 points and Baylor comes out and beats Oklahoma by 17 or 20, all of a sudden it's a real conversation. And can Baylor jump Utah?
Well, see, then the advantage, I think, would go to Utah because you compare Utah, Oklahoma, who does the country want to see more? It's Oklahoma. When you're going against Utah versus Baylor, no offense to either school, but that's kind of a toss-up. I feel like the country would be indifferent whether they want to see Utah or Baylor. And I think the committee would actually give Utah the edge because it is the Pac-12 school. They're the defensive powerhouse. They want to see what happens. So I do think Utah would have the edge over Baylor. But if Baylor wins, things are going to get interesting. Unless Utah comes out and they win like 49-7 against Oregon, it's like, okay, this team's too dominant. Their offense obviously can play, and their defense held Oregon to only 7 points. So that's the thing. Not only do teams have to win, it matters how they win the game, whether it's a close win, whether it's a blowout win. We'll have to wait and see. I'm just hoping for Utah to get in, and they could win, and then Lee Corso's prediction of Utah being in the national championship is correct.
Bama, though?
Well, still, the fact that he picked Utah to go to the national championship at the beginning of the season.
I don't think Lee Corso knows the Utah's in the Pac-12. So, way to go, Lee. All right, guys, here's another scenario that could potentially happen, or not. Clemson, they get to play Virginia in the ACC title game.
Go Cavs.
Let's just say that Clemson actually somehow loses this game, guys. They're currently ranked number 3 right now. If Clemson loses to Virginia, is there a chance that they could miss out, or do you think that no matter what, they're a guaranteed lock to be in the top 4?
Let me take this one, and I'll be 10 seconds. If they lose, they're out. They're not going to lose. They are absolutely not going to lose.
But for hypothetical situations, what this is, if they were to lose to Virginia, would they be out?
Yeah.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Their strength of schedule isn't good enough.
Now, let's say they lose, but, well, I mean, I was going to say then all this would make sense. So let's say Georgia wins. Let's say Utah wins, and let's say Oklahoma. All right, I mean, too many hypotheticals here. So you think if they lose, there's no chance they have a chance of staying in?
No. And look, like I always say, it's kind of cruel and unfair, but it's just how it is that like these teams can't really control their strength of schedules. These schedules are either, you play the teams of your conference, or these are games set up in advance, of course. So, I mean, Clemson's done everything they could up to this point. They've killed every team outside of North Carolina. They beat A&M by 2 touchdowns. But losing late just always hurts people. And if Clemson loses in the last week of the season in their title game and they're a non-ACC champion with 1 loss, I think it's going to be tough. But they're not going to lose.
So let's say Clemson loses by 4 points, something like that, but Utah and Oklahoma both squeak out victories. Like they win very close as well. Do you think Clemson still can have a chance? Or again, is it just you lose no matter what happens with everyone else, you have no chance?
Well, that'd be a non-conference champion with 1 loss versus 2 conference champions with 1 loss. I think they'd both have the edge.
Sorry, I'm just I'm just seeing the text that came in 20 minutes ago from BK, so that made me laugh. in our podcast.
Don't you read that on
chat.
there, Blake?
No, I will not. It is what is it? NFWS or NSW?
NSFW.
NSFW. All right, guys. The final scenario
Not
I
safe
have
for
here
wontons.
is how do Oregon and Michigan both make the playoff? Now they both don't currently play in the conference game this week.
Oregon does.
Oh, they do. I'm just confusing myself. All right, guys.
Yes.
How do Oregon and Michigan both make it?
They don't.
Which team has a better chance? The Ducks or the Steelers led by Duck Hodges?
Well, the
Which-
Steelers are sitting in the playoff spot right now.
Exactly.
So you're saying if Ohio State loses, if Georgia loses, if Clemson loses, if Utah loses, if Oklahoma loses,
No.
Michigan just all of a sudden leapfrogs from 14 into 4 without playing a game?
It's like their basketball team,
one-
unranked to number 4 in the country.
See, there's hope. There's
It
hope. But
happens.
yeah, so there's with Alabama falling out, there's a kind of a which I mean, we'll talk about that later. But with Alabama falling out, this makes things a little less exciting because I wanted another team just to make things that much more chaotic. But guys, we've talked about this briefly, but especially now going into the final week. You're in charge. You're making your own playoff. Because in years past, it seemed like, it's just going to be Alabama, Clemson. Why even bother having 6 or 8 teams in the playoff? Well, this year, looking at all these teams, there are a good amount that could potentially compete against one another. So maybe a 6 or 8 team playoff could be in the realm, especially this year, which would be a lot of fun. All right, guys, you guys are calling the shots based on how the teams look this year and based on what the seeding would be right now, 1 through 8. These are what they look like. Would you guys have a 6 or 8 team playoff, and would it go something like every conference winner's in plus some at-large bids? Would it just be the top 6 teams? Based on how it's looking this year, what would you guys do for a playoff format for this upcoming, or not this upcoming year, like this season?
I would still go top 6. First 2 teams get a bye, and regardless of what it is, playoff games are before bowl games for me. That has always been my thought, and it will always be, is the playoff games happen right after the conference championships, push every bowl game back a week, and then you can play that. Because I don't think you can't have 16 teams get in or 32 teams get in, because that's just too much football. But
There is no such thing, Josh.
no,
as
it's
too much football.
There is too much football on the
I know.
players. That's what I think. Of course, I wish the season could go on forever, but I think 6 teams get in. First 2 teams get a bye, and then after that, you have your playoff games. You have your conference championships. You have your playoff games, and then after that, you have your bowl games. Because these New Year's 6 bowl games need to be made relevant again. Because as we've had this argument on the show, I think that especially the New Year's 6 games, I think those mean something. But Lyle has also pointed out that with the playoff existing and with seniors and juniors going to go to the NFL draft, they're kind of irrelevant. And the fact that we have this conversation in the first place proves that they're kind of irrelevant. So they need to mean something again. Like these New Year's 6 games for so long have been the goal for every college football team.
Make New Year's 6 bowl games great again.
Yes, make New Year's 6 bowl games great again. Put that on a hat. Let's not do the ugly red. It's just that's what needs to happen in my opinion. But for this year, honestly, I would not do the conference champions. I think there are too many good teams where a conference champion gets an automatic bid. Because if Oregon wins this week, let's be honest, Oregon doesn't deserve to get in.
Oh.
So that's the way. They lost to ASU, Blake. They lost to ASU and Auburn. They don't deserve to get in.
2 top-tier quarterbacks.
Yes. Freshmen.
Sip of tea?
Look, I'd love to see as many playoff teams in as possible. When Blake posted that graphic with the, was it 16 team?
Yes.
That looked so fun. I know that's likely unrealistic. But if I had to create my own personal playoff, it would be the top 8 where it's 5 conference champions. You win your conference, you're in. The 3 at-larges. And I know I've always said the first round's played at home. You keep that. The one thing I want to add in is instead of guaranteeing a group of 5 team to get in, I would rather see it's 5 conference champions, 3 at-large bids. You still rank them in however order you think they are in terms of the best teams, 1 through 8. Whoever's number 8 has to play an extra game against the group of 5 team, like an MLB wildcard game, to get into the playoffs. So it still gives the group of 5 teams a chance, but I was thinking more about it, and I think, are all these teams really, top 8 worthy, and should they just be guaranteed a spot? I think if they beat the team that's ranked number 8 at the end of the season, they should, but I think you play that like a wildcard game, and then the top 8 teams begin. But yeah, that's my scenario.
Hear me out. 130 team playoff over the 13-week season.
Yes. I'm on board.
Let's
If you
do
lose
it.
week 1, you're done.
Yes.
That's it. Yeah, you're done like Jacksonville's football
UMass
program. You're
upsets
done.
Ohio State.
Like UMass's football program.
UMass goes on a Cinderella run.
Let's see
Honestly,
it.
you know what? Why not? That's what they do with the FA Cup in England.
Yeah.
They're just like, oh, yeah, here's St. Martin's Middlesbrough Town FC Club. And then
Juniors.
Liverpool. You're like, oh, all right.
Liverpool's got a chance. No, but realistically, I think an 8-team playoff is ideal. If they're going to make a jump, would they go straight to 8 or would they experiment with 6?
I think they might experiment with 6.
I think the experiment with 6 for 2 to 3 years would be a smart thing to do. Because you can see, all right, the 4-team worked well. It was consistent. It was the 4 best. Or 4 most deserving. 6-team, you get your 2, and then you have that could be every conference champion and at large. And then if you go to 8, you have your, all right, conference champions, and then your most likely conference runner-up, who would be like the loser of the LSU-Georgia game, would be your runner-up. And then you could throw the other teams in there. Whereas a 6-team would work great for 2 years because you get a little taste of more, but you're still lower than 8, and you don't have to reformat everything. You just get the bye week to start off.
Bingo. I'm looking right now at the FCS bracket, and it's just so perfect how they have this thing set up. I mean, they played their first set of games this past weekend on November 30th. Next round, then, obviously, the following week on the 7th. Semifinals on the 21st of December, and then the championship is on January 11th. I mean, the FCS is doing it right. It's just so much fun. There's so many upsets.
No Ags, no Josh.
Oh, you hate to see it. Now, I do love the 8, and I've said this again, you got to have the 5 conference champions because then it makes conference play that much more exciting, that much more fun, where every game literally has so much more on the line, and I think that would be absolutely fantastic. And my thing is, I know people have said, like, oh, if Virginia were to beat Clemson this week, Virginia shouldn't get in for beating them. Like, if Virginia can beat Clemson, I think they deserve to be in the playoff. That's my thing.
But that also illegitimizes the New Year's 6 games.
Yeah, but still, I still think you got to have the conference champions in. And then I do like the 3 large bids. I do like what Lyle came up with about having the American team play like a wild card game against the number 8 team. The only problem is it's kind of unfair to have whoever's that number 8 seed play the one extra game. But I think that's genius. Maybe there's a way they can implement it like the week before or something. But I do think that's great because I do think you need to give these American teams some sort of chance. So I think that'd be a great idea. But easily 8, that has to happen. But looking at this year, it's kind of tough, though, because you got Baylor at 7, Wisconsin at 8, and I think Auburn and Bama at 11 and 12 are better teams than Baylor and Wisconsin at 7 and 8, so that's just my 2 cents.
What about, and I just thought of this, so it's probably going to be a terrible idea, but what about you have, of course, really? You have, most teams have, 3 non-con games?
Yes, you drop the non-con games.
You drop 1 non-con, and that last week of the season, so Thanksgiving weekend, when half your school is gone. A lot of schools, yes, it's rivalry week, unless it's the Iron Bowl, unless it's Michigan, Ohio State. Half your school's gone. You have that weekend be conference championship weekend and start everything a week earlier and implement Josh's, where you have the playoffs
Before bowl games.
the week right after, which would usually be conference championship weekend.
Yeah. And the thing, Joe Klatt, he used this reason to defend why you shouldn't drop the non-con games to add for the expanded playoff, and he said, well then, the whole point of the non-con game is to have a good non-conference win that helps your resume, and he said that it would lose the whole point of scheduling those. But looking at this, looking 1 through 10, there hasn't been a non-conference win that essentially has helped any of these teams leapfrog another team. I mean, I guess Georgia, they had a good win against Notre Dame, but that's not going to be the difference maker in Georgia making the playoff or not. The difference maker is going to be whether or not they can beat LSU in this title game. Clemson, Texas A&M was supposedly going to be a good opponent. That win is not going to help them get in. All these teams don't have any non-conference wins that are going to be the difference maker. Yeah, it's great to look at where, Oregon at this point, if they were still undefeated, they could have had an Auburn-ranked win. But for the most part, it's nice to put on the resume, but it's not really something that is the difference maker in you getting in. The difference maker, as we've seen for all these teams currently, is going to come down to what they do in this conference title game. So I do think it's cool having a non-conference game, but if we can get an extended, 8 or maybe even a 16-team playoff, and that requires losing these non-conference games, which again, we don't need to be playing Sacramento State. Sorry, SC does not need to be playing UC Davis in a year.
I agree.
It's the stupidest thing. So if you can drop those, again, play 10 conference games, go for it.
I don't know if you know this or have seen this, but Oregon's non-conference schedule for next season is ridiculously awesome.
Let's hear it.
Start off the 3 games at home in a row.
I feel like that's how they always are.
North Dakota State.
Mm-hmm. That's actually a good one.
Ohio State and Hawaii.
They play Ohio State next year?
Yep, in Autzen. They have a home and home with Ohio State. So say that was this year. Oregon wins those 3 games and loses to ASU. You have the win over Ohio State. Are they a playoff team now?
Well, essentially, if they win their title game, yeah, that's the thing where I even think they'd be fine. It's just a matter that Oregon, they got the 2 losses and the ASU one hurt them where, it's, again, it wouldn't affect it. It really wouldn't affect it. It would all come down to winning your conference title game, which is, again, how all these teams pretty much rank. And I have no memory of years past, like the teams that have made it what their previous schedules were. But I would take a strong guess that maybe none of those teams, maybe one, but none of them got in because of a non-conference win. It came down to how they played in conference and if they won their title game.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's my thing. I think it needs to be 8, ideally dreamily 16. That would be fantastic over the course of a month, because then, as we've mentioned before, you have the bowl games go back to being meaningful, and they're not like the playoff anymore. There's no reason for the Rose Bowl to be a playoff game. That's the stupidest thing. The Rose Bowl should always be the Pac-12 versus the Big Ten.
Exactly.
The Orange Bowl shouldn't be a playoff game. The Sugar Bowl shouldn't be a playoff game. You keep those as themselves, and you just have a game at Cowboy Stadium that's just a playoff game. You have a game at the brand new Los Angeles Football Stadium that's just a playoff game. You have a game at Hard Rock that's just a playoff game.
Vegas.
Yes, at the new Vegas Stadium, just a playoff game. It can be sponsored by someone, but have it just be a playoff game. So those are our thoughts, but let's talk about some of the games from this past week.
Literally, you could do something like whatever, if it's SoFi Stadium in LA, for example, literally just do the SoFi Los Angeles playoff.
There you
literally just do that.
Well, one show this offseason, we'll have a full show where we break down like an ideal 16-team playoff bracket, what you would do with the season, all that fun stuff, so we'll do our research. But some game, guys. The first one we got to talk about is the Iron Bowl. Bo Nix. The legend that is Bo Nix defeated the Alabama Crimson Tide. Guys, it happened. It actually happened. Now, last week on the show, none of us picked Auburn to win. None of us gave him a chance. But the day of the game, I said, you know what? I have this strange feeling in me that Bo Nix can get the job done. And by golly, he did it. To no surprise, Alabama lost because of a kicker, as they always do, it seems like, in the big-time moments. So Bo Nix, they beat Alabama. A few things, guys. My first question is, do you think Alabama would have won this game had Tua been at the helm?
I don't know. That's a tough question to ask. Yeah, but I don't know. I feel like you can't answer that because he just wasn't. I guess yes, but I don't know.
We can talk about so many future hypotheticals, but talking about past hypotheticals is a lot different. Because you saw what played out. You saw what happened in the game, and you put them in there. What would have Tua done different than put up 43 points?
Yeah. Oh, maybe he wouldn't have thrown some pick sixes. Who knows? There's a lot that could have changed. I heard this one stat, and I don't know how long this goes back to, but Auburn at home against Alabama when ranked is undefeated. I think that's in the Gus era. I'm not exactly sure, how long that goes back to, but there was some stat.
Gus has 3 wins over Bama. All the other SEC coaches combined have 1.
So that's probably under Gus. At home, when ranked, they are undefeated against Alabama. So that was overall just a fantastic game. Auburn, I feel so bad for Auburn because this is such a good team they have this year, and their losses have been absolutely brutal. They have, that 10-point loss on the road at Florida, who currently is ranked number 9 right now. They have, a 3-point loss on the road against number 2 LSU, and they have a 7-point loss against number 4 Georgia. So they have 3 losses that are all top 10 losses, and going down the rest of their schedule, I mean, it's tough for Auburn. They just got the raw end of the scheduling deal because this is an Auburn team that, as we saw, if Bo Nix can get better, maybe Bo Nix has been holding them back a little. This could have been a playoff team, essentially, if it wasn't for Bo Nix.
Yeah, I was waiting to say it. I was gonna say, can we just pump the brakes a little on 15 for 30, 173-yard passing Bo Nix, where his defense scored 2 touchdowns for him against Bama?
There you go.
I agree with you. Look, their defense is great. They have a guy like Derek Brown up front, who's a phenomenal football player, and a guy like Whitlow behind Bo Nix, and in the tailback spot, he's been great this year. I mean, yeah, this is a good team who's had a lot of close losses against 3 really, really good teams. If they didn't have a true freshman starting at quarterback who probably needed a year to kind of get his feet under him, they probably could have been competing. The problem is their schedule was so tough.
Listen to these stats in the 3 losses they've had in Bo Nix against Florida, 11-27, 145 yards, 1 touchdown, 3 picks. In their 3-point loss to LSU, 15-35, 157 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. And then their loss to Georgia, 30-50, 245 yards, only 1 touchdown. That's the thing. Again, Bo Nix has the chance to be great. If Auburn had a pretty good quarterback, this team would be in the playoff hunt, without a doubt. I mean, they had some close losses with Bo Nix putting up those stat lines.
Yeah, I was going to say, if they still had Jarrett Stidham, we might be talking a different story.
There you go. You just might be. I mean, Auburn, I don't have the numbers here, but I would assume Auburn's defense probably has to be like top 10 or something in the country. Their defense is phenomenal. Now, against Bama this past week, they did some good plays, but a little bit few points. But Auburn, what a drag, because they're such a good team. And yeah, I feel like we should have given them a little more respect. I was watching back the clip last week of all of us, again, going against them. But Auburn's been a really good team this year. 16th ranked defense.
Yep.
Auburn's been a really good team this year. And Alabama, again, I mean, that Tua injury really hurt them. But this is an Alabama team where fire Saban. You've lost 2 games, guys. Fire Saban. But this is not a situation we're familiar with seeing Bama in. I mean, ranked 12, and overall, they just got outplayed in that game. I mean, they got outplayed by Auburn, plain and simple.
Yep.
I'm going to pull a BK here for a second. Does Auburn really have a defensive end named Big Cat Bryant? I mean, look at the stats here.
They do. Oh, yeah.
Big Cat Bryant. Like, that's just like K-A-T. Big Cat Bryant. But yeah, like, you're right. I mean, Auburn did outplay Alabama. Mac Jones, I said it throughout the course of the game, like, I don't really know what to think of him. He had some times throughout the 60 minutes where he looked really good, and then he had some times where he looked like a freshman and he needed a lot of work. So, I mean, Bama played a good game. Jalen Waddle, oh my goodness, that guy went off.
I think Jalen Waddle officially now is going to be a first-round pick in the 2021 draft.
Yeah.
From this game alone. I mean, that was incredible.
I mean, yeah, so I was going to say, I mean, Bama's Bama. They have all the talent in the world, but they got outplayed. They really did. But yeah, isn't that crazy? Blake said it a few times. I think he's absolutely right, that we're going to look back one day, and Henry Ruggs is going to be in multiple Pro Bowls, and Jerry Jeudy is going to be an absolute stud, and Devontae Smith's going to make a couple Pro Bowls, and Jalen Waddle's going to be a first-rounder in 2021, who's currently their wide receiver 4, and we're going to look back one day and say, man, this Alabama receiving core is ridiculous, yet they missed the playoff.
Big Cat Bryant's real name is Marcavius, by the way.
Okay.
Marcavius.
So it's a nickname.
So that was a really good Iron Ball. Quite the finish. I was hoping we can get overtime in that game because I didn't want it to end. Another rivalry, Ohio State, Michigan. Now, for the first quarter or two, it looked like it was going to be quite the competitive game. It looked like Michigan was going to, hold their own. They took the lead early on. I'm thinking, oh my goodness, the Wolverines are going to do it. And, well, guys, it turned out to not be a game. They end up losing by 30 points. Another disappointing season for Michigan. I believe this is now 8 in a row. It's 8 or 9 in a row that Ohio State has beaten Michigan. So, Michigan, they're going to finish the season having 9 or 10 wins. It's going to be a solid season. If they win their bowl game, it's going to be a 10-win season, a very solid season. But yet again, Jim Harbaugh loses to Ohio State. If you're Michigan, what do you do here? Because you're still, again, putting up 10-win seasons. You're going to some of the better bowl games. I don't think they have a chance at the Rose Bowl just based off standings in the Big Ten. So I don't think they're quite going to be able to make the Rose Bowl. But again, a 10-win season is by no means really a disappointment, but obviously they had higher expectations, especially in, year 5 of the Jim Harbaugh era. Do you just bite the bullet, fire Harbaugh, and hopefully get someone that can take you to that next step, or do you continue to ride this out? Because they've been stuck at this kind of just stage, it seems like, the last 3 or 4 years, unable to take that final lead, beat Ohio State, and be the team that they want him to be.
This is a
it's
Clay
8 straight,
Helton.
by the way. It's 8 straight. Sorry,
8
go ahead.
straight, yeah. And
This
I
is
believe
a
5 under Harbaugh. I think this is 50s
Yes.
lost.
This is a Clay Helton situation for me because if you look at what he's done at Michigan, Harbaugh was 10-3 in 2015 with a Citrus Bowl win, 3 straight bowl losses in the Orange Bowl, Outback Bowl, and Peach Bowl when he went 10-3, 8-5 in 2017. That was not a good year. And then 10-3. This year he's 9-3. He's probably going to go to the Holiday Bowl is what I think. I think Holiday Bowl versus USC is probably going to be the matchup, which is awesome. But look, he can't beat their rivals. Everyone looks back and says, oh my God, Coach O. USC should have hired Coach O. Here's the problem. He lost 2 games. UCLA, Notre Dame. Those are the if USC was 2-10 every year but beat those 2 teams, people would be unhappy. They'd be content with beating UCLA and Notre Dame every year. If ASU lost 11 games every year but beat Arizona every single year, people would figure out a way to be content about that. You can't lose to your rivals, and you can't lose to your rivals 5 years in a row. Convincingly. Getting blown out. At home, on the road, on a train, on a plane. You can't get blown out by your rival 5 straight years and keep your job. And the thing for me is they're going to be a 9-3 team every year with Jim Harbaugh. They're going to beat the teams they should beat because they're Michigan. No offense, Brady. They're going to beat Purdue and Indiana. They're going to beat Maryland. They're going to beat Rutgers. Maybe they'll beat Wisconsin. They'll beat Iowa. They'll beat Nebraska. They're not going to beat Ohio State. They're probably not going to beat Penn State. These are the games that they need to win. So the way that I look at it is, what are his meaningful wins? It's kind of like Jake Fromm. Jake Fromm, you guys have all kind of said, he's a quarterback that's pretty good, but like he's not going to get you the marquee wins. He got a couple this year, but he beats who he should beat. And that's how it is with Harbaugh. At Stanford, it's kind of how he was too. So he got a couple of big wins at Stanford, took him to an Orange Bowl, won the Orange Bowl in 2010, 1 loss. That's pretty good. But right now, what is going to get you past Ohio State in recruiting, on the field, into the Big Ten championship? Right now, nothing. Right now, they can't compete.
The one thing I'll say on this, and I kind of have the same, I agree with Josh in the sense that he should go because he cannot break through this wall of getting past the point of just above mediocrity. Like, look, I don't want to call 9 to 10 wins mediocrity. Those are good seasons for normal programs. For Michigan football, when you have the prestige that you do and you're bringing in ridiculous recruits, I mean, you just got Rashawn Gary a couple years ago. That was the #1 recruit in the whole country, or a top 5 recruit in the whole country. I mean, you bring in all these guys, and you can't win games. The one thing I'll say about Ohio State is, I think I saw this on social media this week, is it even fair to compare those guys at this point? Like, Ohio State is so much better than Michigan. Like the talent they bring in is way better. Their coaching currently is way better, and
In his first year.
And they just play better. What's that?
You said Ohio State?
Yeah.
In his first year.
Yeah, in Ryan Day's first year, he goes out and he trounces Michigan. Like, I don't think it's even fair to compare those two schools at this point. Ohio State is on another level than that of Michigan. The thing is about Michigan is you have to get on that level. You are a white-collar program who has a history of success, is supposed to compete for a national championship and a Big Ten title every year. Currently, they're not doing it. 9-win seasons are fine, but I don't think that's what you settle for if you're Michigan football. And if through 5 years, Harbaugh can't do it, and not once has he come with beating Ohio State, it's time to move on.
Here, real quick.
Go ahead.
He was 29-21 at Stanford, and he got an NFL job. In 64 games with Michigan, 47-17. If I'm a Michigan fan, I'd take that any day of the week. And like Lyle said, that's great for normal programs, but it's not great for Michigan. I would even say that's great for Michigan in the conference that they play in. The problem with that is 47-17 with a 10-3 season, a 10-3 season, a hiccup at 8-5. You know what? USC's 8-4 right now. I'll take that, especially with the way that this year started. But for everything that they went through in 2017 with their quarterback getting hurt and going to their backup and everyone was hurt in 2017, I'll take 8-5. And then 10-3 and 9-3, I would take that if I was a Wolverines fan. The problem is Michigan, in his tenure, with the Wolverines, has a Citrus Bowl to show for it and nothing else. That's it. 47-17, they've got one bowl win, and it was the Citrus Bowl. No conference championships, no wins over Ohio State, a Citrus Bowl. Don't fire him now. If I'm Michigan's AD, he's got a year. He's got a year to prove that he wants his job, and that's contending in the division. If they don't play for a conference title, look at what else he does. They beat Ohio State. What does the future look like? These are all things that USC's doing right now. What's the deal with Clay Helton? I'm an anti-Clay Helton hater, so I'm an anti-Clay Helton hater. Therefore, I don't like Clay Helton haters.
Got it.
I'm not saying he deserves to keep his job. I'm sure we'll talk about that, but like it I don't know, it's kind of contradictory, but like when you're Michigan and you're averaging like 3 losses a year for all 5 years he's been there, that's not bad. Have something to show for it, and he has nothing to show for it.
Yeah, on top of the Ohio State losses, which are bad, I'm trying to get up because I remember I've seen the stat float around a few times now. I think I kind of found it, but I believe in his tenure he has 1 win against a top 10 opponent. And it was actually Notre Dame this year when Notre Dame was ranked 8th and Michigan got the win. So in 5 years he has 1 top 10 win. I think total he's like 1-6 or 1-7 against top 10 teams. So you're not getting the job done against Ohio State, but he's not even getting the job done against the best teams in the country. So you're going nowhere. I think it's time to cut the axe. And
the highest they've been ranked is 10th.
Yeah. So. Well, I mean, Michigan's been in the top 10.
Final ranking.
Oh, final ranking. Yeah, they've cracked into the top 10, but yeah, you need to do something there. We're going to move on now, kind of speed round through a few of these. Yeah, Lyle, I think you're happy to say it looks like Minnesota, they're a fraud. Did you like the tweet I did, though, on the account?
You know what? That was pretty good. I did like it.
Disregard the comment you made. That video was awesome.
Thank you.
You didn't make it.
Oh, the video.
The video. I said
Yes.
disregard
really
your
cool.
tweet. The video of Joe Burrow with the misspelled on purpose name in jersey was awesome.
Yeah, I kind of had a feeling. I mean, look, they're not a bad team. They're better than I thought they were going to be. But when you have wins that close early in the season against some teams that you should be blowing out, like, yeah, they beat Penn State. I had a feeling something like this was coming for Minnesota, though.
Yeah. My Gophers, you guys had a good run. All right, guys, we're gonna try to get started with the pick'ems in 8 minutes. So we got actually 7 minutes to go over some of these coaching changes as well as some Q&A questions. So moving down to coaching changes, the first one and the biggest one came out, and that was, I believe it was yesterday, with Chris Peterson stepping down at Washington, but he is going to stay with the program. Did they release what his official title is?
So he is going to be working as a special advisor in the athletics office.
Special advisor in the athletics office.
Pretty much an associate athletic director is what I'm
So Jimmy Lake is going to take over. He's been there for a while. I don't have how many years he's been with the program, but he essentially knew that he was going to get this job. I feel like this has been discussed with Chris Peterson in years past that was going to happen. So obviously things didn't go too well with Washington this year, but still over the last 5 years, they've been one of the more respectable teams, not only the Pac-12, but in the country. Do you guys like the decision to not go outside house? You stay in-house, you get a guy that's familiar with the program, because they probably could have gotten some decent names that would have been interested in the job, but they opted to go with Jimmy Lake instead.
I think it was a great idea.
Yeah, I think he was great.
Look at Ryan Day.
Very
Ryan
similar
Day was in-house. He took over, and look at Ohio State now.
So was Lincoln Riley.
Yeah, same thing.
And if he's an associate head coach before, I mean, he was also at Boise State. He was at Boise State. He's been at Washington for 6 years. He's got like 150 wins and like 30 losses between the two schools.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he was like a defensive backs coach at UW like back in 2004, and then he came back, I think it says 2014. He's been there since.
And his last name is Lake, and the stadium's on the water.
Yes, it is.
I think it's a really good move. I think Washington, for whatever reason, they just had a down year. I don't think I didn't expect them to go 7-5, but hopefully next year they can get back on track.
I wouldn't be surprised to see Peterson get back into coaching eventually, though.
Yeah,
maybe not now.
Maybe the only thing I was going to say is super quick. I think it just takes a toll on you. Like coaching is hard. Everything you do in college coaching is hard, and I think it just finally kind of caught up to him, and he was ready to take a break.
I think it was Brett McMurphy. Somebody put out a report saying that when they were getting ready to play ASU last year, Peterson had said that he was envious of Herm Edwards because he kind of liked the idea of like stepping back and then maybe getting involved later.
Sure.
Again, I don't know what happened in that conversation, but it seems like maybe not now, but maybe in the future he'd want to be involved. But also that doesn't make sense why he would step into like an associate athletic director role.
All right, guys.
To be more, I'm guessing more of an advisor to the program.
Yeah.
Still have a hand in it, but not have the hours.
Yeah.
Rutgers is officially back.
Yes.
They're bringing back Greg Schiano.
They're back. They're winning the title next year. Tall Matt's all in on them.
They are back. They are back in terms of 4 to 5 wins.
Before I get to the final one, which we're probably going to have to spend like a minute on at the absolute most, some notable names. Matt Fluke, he got fired from Ole Miss, which I guess or laid off or you gone, which I guess a bunch of players were upset about. Ooh, that's not looking too good there. Barry Odom at Missouri. Charlie Strong gets fired from South Florida. I'm sure he'll still find a job somewhere.
That was what, a 2-year science experiment?
I think it was 2 years. Chad Morris from Arkansas and Steve
Adazio.
I was like Adazio, which is a shocking one because he's been there for 7 years. They had a fairly decent season. I think they won 7 games. Boston College. I think they're bowl eligible. I'm not sure. So that's kind of an interesting one as well. I think some Boston College players
kind of
were
the Todd Graham factor.
6-6
You're
this year.
6-6.
It was kind of the Todd Graham factor. It's like, yeah, you're a pretty good football coach, but like, we're not just going to accept mediocrity forever.
And the final one, because I put question marks next to it because we don't know what's going to happen or not, and that's Clay Helton. Guys, you can each give your yes or no. Josh can explain for maybe 30 seconds because we're going to have to move on this. Clay Helton, I think as of right now, he still does have his job. Should he have his job going into next season? The three of you guys just give your answer, then Josh can go for 30 seconds on his thoughts.
I give him one more year. Yeah.
I give him one more year. I don't see why not.
I said this in the car. I said, you tell Helton, he said, listen, if you don't make the Pac-12 title game next year, you're out.
I think that's fair.
I agree with all of you guys, but I'm going to say no. And the only reason I'm going to say no is I think that the negativity within the fan base is too much, and I think they're going to start losing recruits, and I think they're going to start losing fans, which is stupid. But I think they're going to start losing people following the program if they don't fire him now. I like Helton. I hope he gets one more year and that make it or break it year. I also don't think Urban Meyer's going to come. I think he's unavailable.
The more I think about it, the more I don't see Meyer going.
Exactly. But it's like, you know what? If you fire him now and you go out and get somebody great, he's going to get the buyout. He's a great guy. He's going to get another job soon. That's good for him, but like I'm tired of seeing the negativity involving the fan base on what used to be such a proud fan base, and now if they could retain Helton and go 12-0 next year, go to the conference championship, go to the playoff, and people are still going to hate him. He can't win.
All right, so we have about 2.5 minutes now to go over our Q&A. We only got 2 questions tonight, so let's get these underway. Gaming Rooster wants to know, what would be your guys' most exciting top 4 for the college football playoff? Most exciting. So this could be, what 4 teams would you guys like to see the most?
USC, ASU, UC Davis, and LSU.
I'll go the top 3 right now, and then I'll throw in. I'll throw Bama in there. Not because they deserve to be in with 2 losses, just because of the talent they have. Like talent-wise, they're still so good.
Army, Navy, Air Force, and the Citadel.
I would have Bama and Ohio State in the. Or no, I would have Bama and Oklahoma in the first game, so that way we get our Jalen Hurts rematch versus Bama. And then my other one, I would do Ohio State versus LSU. Sorry, Clemson, you're getting left out, but you're number 5.
I'm shocked.
Realistic.
Well, I mean, to be fair, how can you leave out LSU versus Ohio State?
All right. And then that's Joe Burrow's redemption game, too.
There you go.
You get 2 redemption games.
There you go.
Realistically,
Yes.
Ohio State, LSU, give Georgia in there, I think Georgia, and throw Bama, 3 SEC teams.
How about Justin Fields goes back to Georgia and plays for Georgia?
Ooh, Ohio State versus Georgia. Just a bunch of redemption games.
Yeah,
Hence
I like Blake's because I like the 2 redemption games.
Now, see, guys, if the playoff was 8 teams, then we can have all this, and we can get all the redemption games we want. Final question, this comes from Andrew Coster. If you could move the location of any of the conference championships, where would you move and why?
Oh,
now, you could do all 5 if you want, if you guys aren't content with where they are now.
So dang easy. Get the Pac-12 Conference Championship game so far away from Santa Clara immediately.
Next year
Get it out now.
Next year it's gone.
Well, it's going to Vegas, right?
Yeah.
No, I thought it was going to L.A.
Vegas.
Either one
Really?
is great.
Either Vegas
better
or
than
LA.
Santa Clara, my God.
Yeah, that's just so... You know what's in Santa Clara, everybody?
Nothing.
Oh, yeah. It's just
Well,
kind of
you know what's in Santa Clara? Santa Clara, Steve Nash played there. Other than that, I don't know.
That's
Congrats.
Oh.
Yeah.
I know where I'm moving. At least the Big Ten game.
Jeans.
I know where I'm moving.
You're
The Big
moving
Ten
the
game.
Big Ten game?
Oh, you guys don't know? I figured.
Is
it'd
it
be a
Natty
play-
Light Stadium?
Natty Stadium, baby.
That'd be so
Yeah.
far away from all of the schools.
Where
You say you're putting it in North Dakota?
Yeah, it's not that far.
Yes, it is.
From the Big Ten, it's not that far.
See, I got no problem with the Big Ten being at Lucas Oil. I got no
love
problem
it there.
with the SEC being in Atlanta. I do think they need to move the SEC out of where is it? It's at where the Panthers play. I think.
That's
Guys,
the ACC.
yeah, what did I say?
SEC.
The
Oh,
ACC
oh
is
boy,
it?
I'm all over the place. The ACC plays where the Panthers play. I think they should move.
It can't be Hard Rock because Miami plays there.
Yeah,
No.
you could move it. I don't really know, but I think they should move it. And yes, get the Pac-12 out.
Move
But
it to
Big 12
move it
is,
to
Big 12 is at
FedEx.
Jerry World, right?
Oh,
FedEx
God.
Field.
People blow their knees out on that field once a week. Don't
That's
put it
also
at FedEx
true.
Field.
So yeah, get the
Baltimore.
Pac-12, move the ACC, SEC, Big 12. I like the Big 12 at Jerry World. I mean, there has
Yeah.
to be a game at Jerry World. I think those are fine. I'm trying to think. Nah, I don't know. Move them though. Get out of Santa Clara. My goodness.
How
But
about
that does
this?
bring us to the Pick'ems.
Pac-12 at formerly known as the StubHub Center.
Oh yes.
No.
All right,
What is it
Brady,
now?
They
cue
wouldn't
that
sell it.
music.
Dignity Health Park.
Dignity
Because
Health
we
Park.
only have 9 minutes to get through this. All right, guys. Now, before we get started, let's go to our ESPN College Football Pick'em League. We got to get this through. In first place,
Just
with
first place.
107 points, is Blake Walker. Now, this
Good
is
job.
the final week. He does have all the bowl ones to pick through. So, Blake Walker, good luck this upcoming week. Now, guys, we still have 1 week of Pick'ems left. I forgot that we do Pick'ems for for the conference title games. So, there's still a chance for us, Josh. There's still a chance.
That means I'm not winning.
But let's get to the standings. In last place with 121 points is Lyle. In third place with 126 points is me. In second place with 128 points is Josh. And in first place with 136 points is Brady with an 8-point lead as we head to our final pick'ems of the year, guys. It's I keep saying bowl. It's Conference Champions Week, ladies and gentlemen. Let's get things underway. The Pac-12 Championship, Utah versus Oregon.
It's a close one, but I've got Utah, and you know what? I think they go to the playoff. That's my pick.
You know what? Utah by 16. I've got faith. They're going to handle Oregon.
I think Oregon is a little bit sad, a little bit upset they dropped so low, and that's going to stick with them. So I have Utah winning.
A few years from now, it's going to come out that Bo Nix was on steroids and Herm Edwards was paying the players, and Oregon is still going to finish the year undefeated. I think Oregon gets the win over Utah. The Big 12 Championship, Baylor and Oklahoma.
Another good game. I think it comes down to the wire, and I think OU pulls it out again.
I'm going to say Oklahoma 37-30.
Boomer sooner, baby.
Now, guys, these are some good games. We can give a little more thoughts because for some of these upcoming games, we can go through them. It's fine.
I hate Blake.
I know. I'm going to go with the Sooners in this one. I don't think Baylor is able to get them. But hey, maybe they can. Maybe they can. The Sun
good
Belt
insight there, Blake.
Championship, guys. The Sun Belt. Louisiana against Appalachian State.
I knew ASU was going to get in the bowl game. I'm taking App State.
State, Appalachian State.
Appalachian State.
I like that. That's pretty good. I'm going the ASU.
Now, I'm confused
The.
because we all say Appalachian. Isn't that how it's pronounced? Because someone in the comments said when people pronounce Appalachian State wrong, it pisses me off.
No,
And I'm
because
like,
I said
We looked it up.
Appalachian. Because the last
Oh.
time I said Appalachian on the show, somebody got mad.
Interesting.
Look, man, I watched The Longest Yard. The GOAT Paul Crew, a.k.a. Adam Sandler, said Appalachian. I'm saying Appalachian.
All right. The MAC Championship. Ooh.
It's on a Tuesday.
Miami of Ohio against Central Michigan.
It's not, but actually I want to know.
That'd be sick if
Miami
it
It's
versus...
not.
Oh, it's not? That's
It should be, which is right now. Get your picks in, guys.
Oh, I'm going to take Central Michigan. I mean, these two teams have like 9 combined losses, so I'm taking Central Michigan.
Aren't
'cause
they
they're-
both 7-5? I think.
No, I think Central Michigan's 8-4.
Oh.
Yeah, I like the Red Hawks, but Chippewas is fun to say.
Yeah.
I need tea. I got Central Michigan.
I'm taking Central Michigan.
The Chippewas, as Josh would say. It just did say.
The Chips.
I'm gonna go with Miami. Sorry, I didn't realize you said. I'm gonna go with Miami of Ohio. Also, I haven't been paying attention if BK's just saying the same exact picks as you, so that
is.
way he wins.
Damn
That's
right.
unfortunate. The Conference USA Championship, UAB against Florida Atlantic.
Oh. I'm out of tea.
Spilled it.
Oh. You know I have to. Absolutely have to pick Lane. I've got FAU.
I'll take the Owls.
Who?
FAU.
I'm sorry.
I
who?
got you again.
Come on, 2 weeks in a row, Lyle.
you did.
FAU.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Blazers in this one because it's a fiery dragon. The American Conference Championship, Memphis against Cincinnati.
I think it's going to be tough for Memphis to win 2 in a row, but I think they do. I've got Brady White, former ASU quarterback.
I like Memphis. I think they get it done, and I I think they go to the New Year's Six.
I like Cincy in this one.
It's tough for a team to beat a team twice in the same season, but in back-to-back weeks, impossible. I'm going to go with the Bearcats. The SEC Championship, Georgia and LSU.
Close, but go Tigers.
I don't really think it's that close. I think not like a blowout, but I think LSU wins by 12.
Hey guys, thank you. We love you, man. Go Tigers.
Come on, LSU.
Guys, Georgia's been slept on all year. I get they had the really bad loss to South Carolina. If they don't lose that game, they're probably ranked second right now in the country. I'm going Georgia in the upset. I think Georgia gets the job done. The Mountain West Championship, Boise State against Hawaii.
This game's going to be a lot better than people think. I'm going to take Boise State. I think Cole McDonald and the Warriors are going to put up some points, but I got Boise.
Yeah, I like Boise State too. They've been playing good football, and they're still fighting to try to get that spot in the New Year's Six Bowl. They need Memphis to lose, and I think they take care of Hawaii.
One of these schools is home to an elite vacation destination, and the other one is Hawaii, so I'm going with Boise State.
I love Boise, Idaho. I'm going to go with the Boise State Broncos. The ACC Championship, Clemson against Virginia.
Well, I did pick former ASU quarterback Brady White.
Yes.
And I will not be taking former ASU quarterback Bryce Perkins. I think it would be so cool to see UVA win this game. I think Clemson handles them. I think maybe the first half is kind of close. Clemson definitely pulls away at the end. I've got the Tigers.
You know that scene in SpongeBob where Patrick wants Squidward to play his clarinet for him, and then he does, and then 1 second into it, Patrick falls asleep? Yeah, that might happen to me during this game. I'm going to say Clemson like 42-10.
Clemson and Trevor Lawrence doesn't play the whole game.
Yeah. It's unfortunate our fantasy couldn't go into this week. That'd be a lot of fun. I'm going to go with Clemson. I do want to see Virginia give them a shot, though. It'd be cool to see Virginia compete. Did you guys see that, like, over the last, the last 7 or 8 years, a different team has been on the other side of the ACC?
Yeah, every single
it's
year.
Incredible.
Since 2013.
That's incredible. It's a full circle. It's the circle of life.
And they keep losing to Clemson to end the circle.
Yes.
Or
That
Florida
they do.
State.
The final one, guys,
I can't
the
hit that.
Big Ten Championship,
Blame the
Wisconsin against Ohio State.
Oh my goodness. If Wisconsin wins this game and the world burns, that would be amazing. But I think Ohio State is one of the top 2, if not the number 1 team in the country. Well, they are the number 1 team in the country, if not the best team in the country. It's just hard to pick against Ohio State at this point. So I've got the Buckeyes.
I think Jack Cohn and Jonathan Taylor in Wisconsin put up a little bit more of a fight than they did last time, but not enough to the point where they can beat Ohio State. I'm going to take the Buckeyes by 14.
The Buckeyes in what is one of the greatest stadiums where football is played at Lucas Oil Stadium.
And yet you
It
didn't
actually
know
is.
there was a White Castle across the street.
Yeah, hey, let's hope we don't have another turf incident like we
Is
did
that
last year.
is that where Andrew Luck plays?
He
Oh.
did. He
Oh.
did.
Sorry, mother.
Dearest mother.
I'm going to go with the Buckeyes in this one, but I think
Oh, wait.
Wisconsin could probably give them a really good chance. Definitely a better fight than Minnesota or someone would have given them, so it's going to be a great game. But that does wrap up our final pick'ems ever.
We still have our bowl pick'em.
We still have
Yes.
our bowl pick'ems. Well, the 3 of us do.
Yeah,
our
see
March
you in the new
Madness show.
decade, everybody.
Yeah, bye, Lyle. Everyone say bye to Lyle. They won't see him until next year. Maybe.
Bye,
We'll have to wait
Lyle.
and see. We're going to have to see if he gets back on this show. All right, guys, as I mentioned, go to follow us on Twitter. Enter the Manscaped giveaway. Make sure you guys we'll be announcing that on Sunday. We will be doing our Sunday show, Bowl Pick'ems, going over the playoff rankings. Don't have a time yet, so if you want to know when to listen to our Bowl show live, follow us on Twitter at the HHShow _, because like I said, we'll be recording on Sunday afternoon. For Josh Schaefer, who finished his tea and is feeling a lot better, I hope.
I thought you said the show was at
Kind
1.
of.
Well, have we officially agreed to 1?
Yep, let's do
All right,
1.
guys, we officially agreed to 1. So 3 p.m. Eastern in the afternoon, you can listen to the show live on BlazeRadioOnline.com. Thank you, Brady.
You're welcome.
Thank you. For Josh Schaefer, Lyle Goldstein, who will not be here for our bowl pick'ems, but that's okay, Lyle.
Boo, Lyle.
I'm sorry for going to a job fair.
We'll just have Lyle be on the phone the entire time and cut to him for the pick'ems.
I may have
For
lost
our executive
fantasy, but I'm
producer,
gonna win the
Brady
pick'ems,
Klain,
baby.
who had a great thing. I'm going to go frame this when
Please do.
I get home. This has been Blake Harris from the Bill Austin Radio Studio at the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism in beautiful downtown Phoenix. Enjoy every game this upcoming weekend, and we will see you guys Sunday afternoon.